It's time for another edition of Hot or Not with our Director of Scouting, Craig Button. And you all know how this works. I'm going to make a statement. Craig will tell us if it's hot or not. We're going to start with offer sheets. We don't see them used often in the NHL, but Craig, we saw the St. Louis Blues give offer sheets to a pair of Oilers on Tuesday. Now, more general managers should use offer sheets. Hot or not, Craig?
Hot, but I understand why it could be not. The reason that you're not seeing more offer sheets is because largely teams have been unsuccessful in acquiring players through the offer sheet process. But Doug Armstrong and the St. Louis Blues went creative. They went with younger players. They did two at the same time. And I think that we're seeing now some different thinking when it comes to offer sheets. So yeah, more general managers should become more creative, which should lead to more offer sheets.
Okay, but the Blues put the Oilers in a bit of a pinch by giving both Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg offer sheets. Hot or not, Craig, Edmonton must match the offers and keep both Holloway and Broberg.
Oh, that's hot. That is flaming hot. That is burning hot. Can't even touch it. It's so hot. You have two players that were drafted in the first round. You've spent 4 and 5 years watching these players develop. They're young. They showed in the Stanley Cup playoffs that they can be really important players for your team. To let them go for a second-round draft pick and a third-round draft pick makes zero sense. So yeah, they have some challenges in terms of how they make it work on their salary cap, but this is the conundrum that the Edmonton Oilers find themselves in. The bigger conundrum and the bigger problem for them would be if they don't have these two players after spending so much time watching them develop and knowing that they can become important players.
Right, and then the Oilers could be not hot without them, but they have until August 20th to match the Blues offer sheets if they want to sign either player. Now, speaking of signing, the Penguins have yet to ink an extension with their captain, Sidney Crosby. So, Craig, hot or not, it's surprising that Kyle Dubas has yet to complete a deal with Crosby.
Not. Sidney Crosby has shown that he's still an elite player, one of the best players in the National Hockey League. And he's wired to win. We all know what his loyalty is to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and we all talk about him finishing his career there. Sidney Crosby, first and foremost, wants to win. And I think for Kyle Dubas and the Pittsburgh Penguins, it comes down to them trying to show that they can make moves to be a competitive team. I'm not going to suggest that Sidney Crosby is going to abandon the Pittsburgh Penguins, but he, I think, is really instrumental in understanding what the steps are for him and the Penguins to compete for a Stanley Cup. So I'm not surprised, and keep in mind, Sidney Crosby is the one that controls this process 100%.
That's a great reminder. And Crosby just celebrated his 37th birthday on August 7th. As of right now, he'll enter this season with just 1 year left on his 12-year deal that he signed back in 2012. And that is another edition of Hot or Not. Thanks, Craig.